A Florida mail carrier is arrested for drunk driving on the job. A Florida man shot his neighbor's cow 5 times. A Florida woman is arrested after punching an officer in the testicles. And a Florida man is arrested for drunk driving 118 miles per hour with children in the car. These are the weird stories on Friday on Weird AF News. They are all from the state of Florida, as expected. This is Florida Friday on Weird AF News. All the weird news from this week from the state of Florida only, just like you like it. Let's go. A Florida mail carrier is arrested for drunk driving while on the job. The story is out of Melbourne, Florida. Did you know there's a Melbourne, Florida? Not to be confused with Melbourne, Australia. Florida has a Melbourne. We have a U.S. Postal Service employee, Florida lady. She was arrested in Melbourne after she drank some alcohol at a house party while on her mail carrier route. She was, just on her route, and it's hot in Florida. So someone asked her if she'd like a cold, frosty one, and that turned into who knows what. This lady was later caught driving the wrong way in traffic. Oh my goodness. She was so drunk. She was driving the wrong way in one of those mail trucks. Those look like they're difficult to drive anyways because you're on the other side of the wheel than you normally would be. You're driving on the right side instead of the left side, but you still have to obey the regular road rules for the most part. Yeah, driving that quirky little mail truck would be challenging straight sober, never mind after a few shots of whatever she's taking. All right, let's jump back into the story, get some more details. I'm sure they'll be fun. According to the affidavit, the Melbourne, Florida police were notified that a U.S. Postal Service mail truck was driving in the opposite travel lane. So, towards oncoming traffic, I assume. Pretty dangerous. Also, the report was that the driver was throwing plastic cups out of the vehicle. That's good, that's good. She's like, 1 soldier down, 2 soldiers down, 3, throwing them out the vehicle. Wow. It's just a trail of, what do they call those, solo cups? The official drinking vessel of fraternities all across the land. She's just chucking them out the window. Well, you can't leave them in the truck because your coworkers will see it when you get back to the post office. You got to get rid of the evidence, all right? Should you imagine being wasted delivering mail, too? Like, everyone's getting the wrong mail. She's delivering 2 streets over. Like, lady, I live on Barnaby, not Crescent. What are you doing? Could you just sign here for me, please? Just sign here. I just need your signature right here. My signature in your cleavage, lady? What are we doing? All right, jumping back into the details here. When the police finally arrived, they saw the mail truck driving west on East University Boulevard, making a U-turn, swerving in and out of its lane, and then driving into the opposite lane as well. Officers pulled over the mail truck at this point, where they say Florida woman Caitlin Dye, quote, appeared confused and disoriented. Are we sure she only had some booze at a party, or did she do some other things? She sounds like she's really out of it. The officers conducted a field sobriety test at that point, and they say her results were, quote, indicative of someone under the influence. That's when police questioned Caitlin Dye, who said she was delivering to a home on Riverview Drive when she was invited inside for a party. I love how she just spills it right there. Yeah. Well, I was invited to a party. What am I going to say? No. It's 100 degrees out. I could use something that's cold and has some vodka in it, you know? I usually take a Tom Collins and a sippy cup with me in the mornings to get me through, but, you know, by the time the late afternoon rolls around, I'm beat. I could use a re-up. So, yeah, I got invited to a party. And by invite, I mean I was delivering mail to that house, and they said, hey, come in for a drink. And I'm a Florida woman. I can't say no. Okay, back to the moment where Caitlin Dye, the Florida woman mail carrier who's parched, was invited into a party. She told the police she drank 2 shots of vodka before leaving. Do we believe this story? I can't imagine that just 2 shots of vodka would be enough for you to drive into oncoming traffic and swerve all over the road. It's bizarre. Something else is going on. Did they dose her? Imagine dosing your mail carrier. That is a wild prank, man. Just slipping your mail lady a Mickey so So none of the mail gets to his destination that day, among other things. Now, the police asked the Florida woman why she was swerving in and out of traffic, and she said it was because she had fallen asleep while driving. 2 shots, you fall asleep? Yeah, something else is going on. They also asked about her cup thrown out of the vehicle. She said it was just water she used to swish in her mouth to not smell like alcohol. Now, she probably had like a couple of drinks at the party, and then she obviously took some to go. And she was just downing them and chucking them out the side of the door, that slide door. A bit of a difficult vehicle to, covertly drink and drive, by the way, because of that sliding open door. You could just see right in. You can see everything. You can't hide your drink under the steering wheel, like you normally can when you're drunk driving. You guys know how it is, right? When you're drunk driving, you got your cup between your legs. No one can see it. Now, it says here there's also multiple witnesses that the police spoke to who actually reported the incident and called it in. They claim that they saw the mail truck nearly strike multiple vehicles as it swerved along the roadway. Florida woman, mail carrier Caitlin Dye, was booked into the Brevard County Jail. She's probably going to lose her job, sadly. I heard they're cutting post office gigs anyways for the most part, so you can't, keep your gig and also drunk drive, I'd imagine. Another question that the article doesn't address is who's having a party in the middle of the day? What kind of house party is the middle of the day in the middle of the week? I guess Floridaman has parties in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week, because Floridaman don't have a job. A Florida man shot his neighbor's cow multiple times after it wandered onto his property. A man in Florida was arrested for blasting his neighbor's cow 5 times after it strolled onto his personal property. The incident occurred in North Fort Myers. The Lee County Sheriff's Office Agriculture Unit. Did you know they had an agriculture unit? What's that all about? Stolen turnips. They specialize in farmers market transgressions or livestock. They responded to a call from a ranch regarding reports of some animal cruelty. The deputies were informed that a victim located his 2-year-old calf on his neighbor's property with 5 gunshot wounds to the chest. Don't you mean the brisket? I think you mean the brisket. The cow's owner stated that the neighbor, 54-year-old Hung Trin, sounds like a Vietnamese man, had been angry in the past about livestock jumping the fence and threatened to shoot the animals. So I guess he finally took his revenge here, shooting up the cow. That's really cruel, though, if you ask me. It's just, you got to try and squash this beef with your neighbor, you know. Stand your ground. I'm not saying don't stand your ground, but, kind of squash the beef if you can, even if it is utter nonsense, I'm throwing out some grade A puns, guys, wouldn't you say? Have you heard enough yet? Am I milking it too far? All right, back in the story, the police detectives from the 1st Precinct, this is really important, they got the 1st Agricultural Precinct on there. You know the ones, the real serious ones that typically handle cockfighting. So the detectives ended up obtaining a search warrant and were able to locate the .22 caliber gun allegedly used in the shooting. Wait, he shot the cow with a .22? That tiny little gun? That is straight up cruelty. What, did he want the cow to suffer? Wow, what an animal this guy is. A demon, one could argue. That's horrible. And back in Wild Wild West times, I would imagine this would be a hangingable offense. Hangingable offense. You know what I'm trying to say here. You'd be swinging from a rope is what would happen if you did something like this to somebody's cow. Here's a quote from the sheriff's office here. There will be accountability for taking your frustrations out on innocent animals, in this case multiple felonies and jail time. We know how much these animals mean to our farming community, and we will not tolerate these actions. I am proud of my agriculture unit for their immediate response and ability to make an arrest in this case. Yeah, good. This guy should get a huge punishment for this. It's horrible. It says here, Trin will be charged with animal cruelty and grand theft of a commercial farm animal. Yeah, good. This guy should do some time. Obviously, he doesn't enjoy being around farm animals. So why did you move to farm country, stupid? People like this. You don't want animals around? Don't buy property with his animals around. And, even if there is, can you be a little bit more empathetic or maybe even, I'm not even saying enjoy it, although I would enjoy it. if my neighbor had animals and they came over, I would pet the cow. I would say what's up to the llama or the, honey badger, whatever my neighbor had for, creatures. And this is Florida. What are you doing? You're sad that a cow wandered on your property? What about the tweakers in your neighborhood? Like, be thankful that's all it was a cow, and not somebody rolling up to throw a baby alligator at your face. A Florida woman was arrested for punching a police officer in the testicles. We have here a 32-year-old Florida lady, solid citizen. She was arrested for allegedly refusing to pay her tab at a steakhouse in Ocala, Florida. In addition, things escalated, and she apparently punched a police officer in the testicles after she was escorted outside of the restaurant. This occurred on Tuesday at Mark's Prime Steakhouse in Ocala. You know the joint. They got a great baked potato. I recommend the steak fries. Get the blue cheese dressing on the salad. Ooh, you won't regret it. This Florida woman is identified as Rachel King. She's identified as Rachel King. She refused to pay her tab at Mark's Prime Steakhouse. Boo, Rachel King. Pay your tab at Mark's Prime Steakhouse. Are we sure she identifies as a Rachel and not a Karen? I'm going to guess it's more Karen-ish. When one of the police officers entered Mark's Prime Steakhouse, Rachel was observed sitting at the bar. The report states that she appeared to be intoxicated. A manager informed the officer that Rachel was refusing to pay her tab, which totaled $99.53. And that's when the officers escorted Rachel out of the steakhouse, and she did a magic trick. Watch me turn this $100 tab into a felony. Now for this next trick, I'm going to need police groin. Anyone have a police groin? Is there some cop junk somewhere here in the crowd? All right, here we go. Ta-da! All right, back to the details. The police officer assisted Rachel out of the steakhouse and onto the patio area where she sat down in a chair. According to the report, a bystander offered to help Rachel by getting the cash she needed to pay for her tab, though she would first need to send the money to the bystander via Venmo. How about this? I believe they call that what do they call that? A Good Samaritan? Yes, a Good Samaritan. They're pretty much extinct in Florida, by the way, so how sweet of this individual to come up and ask to assist. The report stated that Rachel gave the officer permission to assist with sending the money to the bystander, no doubt because she was blind drunk and couldn't work her phone. While the officer was attempting to send the money while using King's cell phone via Venmo, Rachel allegedly became agitated and impatient and stated that the officer should just leave her alone. That's when the Florida woman snatched her phone from the police officer before allegedly raising her right fist as, quote, as far back as she could, according to the report. The Florida woman then proceeded to punch the police officer in the testicles, which caused the officer to feel, quote, extreme pain. I love these reports. They're so funny. So would you say she struck you in the left testicle or the right testicle, or would you say that it was both of your nads? Yeah, well, I'm going to go with both of my nads. It felt like both of my nads. I'm pretty traumatized. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to say it was about a 7.5 on the nutsack pain scale. Would you say that you, quote, felt extreme pain? Oh, it was definitely, quote, extreme pain. Okay, we're writing all of this down. Moments later, the Florida woman was placed under arrest at the steakhouse, and she was booked into the county jail. She's being charged with battery on a law enforcement officer and swindling. Ooh, that's actually a phrase they still use, swindling. Oh my goodness, it gets better. It's actually swindling of an innkeeper of less than $300. Swindling an innkeeper. Sounds like such an old school medieval crime, huh? I can't show me face in the village. Oh, I swindled an innkeeper a fortnight ago. Well, I can't go back to town either because I poached a few servings of mead at the tavern without paying for it. I believe I'm due for a good flogging. And I can't return to the village because they have accused me of witchcraft. Oh, goodness gracious. I guess we're on the lam. Now, to wrap up the story, it says the Florida woman's going to appear in court shortly, and she'll probably get, I don't know, what do you think? 18 months per testicle? That seems about the going rate for a a nutcracker in Florida, a little junk crasher. You know it is. One last note, be careful out there, everybody. Drunk white lady confidence is on the rise.
Hey, Todd, Daddy, how you doing?
A Florida man is arrested for drunk driving 118 miles an hour with children in the car. This guy's a Hall of Famer in Florida. Brevard County, Florida. Deputy Thomas Jenkinson from the sheriff's office spotted a Chevy Equinox speeding northbound at 118 miles per hour, significantly above the speed limit, in case you didn't know. Yeah, but also in a Chevy Equinox, pretty impressive. I mean, if you can do 118 in an Equinox, that's like a feat unto itself. Now, it says here the driver was identified as a Floridaman, Juan Esposa. Oh, there's a photo of Juan Esposa. Couldn't be happier. He has what a grin on this guy, Juan Esposa. The Florida man is so happy about what? I don't know. This is the happiest mugshot I've ever seen. He must be glad that he's never going to see his children again, maybe. I don't know what. He's so happy. He kind of looks like Butthead from Beavis and Butthead. Like, you know, his forehead is a runway, I have to say. You should look this up. So funny. I mean, Hall of Fame mugshot. I'll post it in the Patreon. Wow, Juan Esposa. The driver, Juan Esposa, was signaled to pull over into the center median. Upon approaching the vehicle, the deputy detected the odor of alcohol emanating from the vehicle. Further investigation revealed Espinosa's wife in the front passenger seat and their 2 children, ages 1 and 8, asleep in the back seat. Yeah, these kids are trying to just sleep through life with Juan and the wife, you know. The more sleeping they do, the better. They don't want to be witness to their lifestyle for real. Most children in Florida, you know, they need to be saved, as I've said a million times on here. We got to get a GoFundMe and get these kids out of there. Suspecting impairment, the Florida deputies requested Juan Esposa, the Florida man, to perform field sobriety tests and, in addition, provide a breath sample to determine his blood alcohol level. Of course, the Florida man refused these requests, and he was later arrested and taken to a nearby detention center. The article sadly doesn't have any quotes from the Florida man. They are always good for a few quotes, you know, these nutcases. Do you realize you were driving 118? To which he responded, I know, man, I'm just trying to get home before I get in an accident because I'm drunk, you know. I'm just trying to outpace my buzz. You know what I'm talking about, officer. We've all been there. Come on, man. Outrace the buzz. The article wraps up by saying Espinosa is facing charges for driving under the influence and child neglect. Of course. And this probably isn't the first time he has neglected the childs. Booze was a bad choice. Weed, man. Get on the weed. It's better for children when you got weed. Because everything's funny. Especially if you're driving. You don't drive drunk. You're driving on the weed. You never run a red light when you're on the weed, right? Instead, you stop at the red light and you stare into the distance. Keep staring and staring until the driver behind you honks the horn because it's been green for like 3 or 4 minutes. That's weed, man. Hi, my friends, loyal listeners, weirdos, fans of the Weird AF News podcast. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Florida Friday, and thank you especially those of you who sent me weird Florida stories the past couple days. Very helpful. I appreciate your contributions, your effort, your care, your concern. Pat yourself on the back. Tell yourself you're good, because you are good, and I appreciate you. If anybody appreciates you, it's this guy right here in the closet, Jonesy, your guy. Hope you're having a lovely weekend as well, or you had one, or you're about to have one. I'm about to have one. Got shows tonight, Friday night, a show anyways, in Long Beach at the Laugh Factory. And then tomorrow night, a couple shows in the Hollywood area. Check my Instagram, @FunnyJones, if you'd like to attend. Slide into my DMs. Maybe I can get you on the guest list for gratis. Does that means free in Latin, I think, right? If you'd like to support Weird AF News and your buddy Jonesy because you believe in me a little bit, please go to my website, weirdafnews.com, where you can buy me a coffee, which I may spend the money on beer or Pinot Noir. I'm not going to lie, it could be Tito's vodka. These are all things I enjoy in the world. You can also join my Patreon. That's a really cool thing to do. patreon.com/weirdafnews. Or click the banner on my website, weirdafnews.com. Join the Patreon. where you can get some strange movie recommendations from me and bonus episodes and the occasional personal photographs of me being stupid in my own personal life. So, a lot of fun there. You got it? You got it? Okie dokie. That's that.